Good afternoon, students. Welcome to our fourth and final day of our virtual career fair with the Ministry of Education Student Support Services Division. So we are really glad that you were able to join us for our fourth and final day. So today we have 4 service providers lined up who will share with us their programs that are available to you students as you prepare to make your transition out of secondary school. At this time, I will welcome Dr. Nigel Fulchan from the School of Accounting and Management to present to you their school's programs. Dr. Fulchan?
Thank you. Guys, this is my second presentation. I did a presentation to the 6th formers, and now I have the 5th form. And I pretty much want to say the same thing to you guys and talk to you all about how to choose a career first. It is a career guidance seminar. So I think it's unfair if we just speak about SAM and what we have to offer without giving you some sort of idea on how to choose a career. So I'm going to spend the first part of my presentation, not too long. I mean, my presentation, normally it's an hour and 15 minutes. I have 40 minutes with you guys. So I'm going to spend, the first half of my presentation really talking you all through on how to choose a career, probably the first quarter of the presentation. So let's get straight into it. So again, let me just share the screen. I get to formally introduce myself. I'm Dr. Nigel Fulchan. I'm one of the directors at SAM, School of Accounting and Management. We have 2 campuses. We're now almost 40 years old as an institution. SAM was the first institution to bring a university from England into Trinidad. So we're truly an international business school, right? We're a business school that offers computing degrees, law degrees, bachelor's and master's, even up to your doctorate. You can go to all the different levels, right? So I'm going to talk to you all today initially about how to choose a career, because you see, we get a lot of students who are confused. They're not too sure what career path to take. And secondary school doesn't really prepare you to choose your career, right? It tells you about so much. It teaches you so much, and the world is really large, right? So let's take a look at a few factors when choosing a career. Now, I like to run analogies, choosing a partner for life. Now, this is not a marriage counseling session, but I want to run an analogy of choosing a partner for life as in choosing your career for life, right? I mean, what are some of the characteristics you look for in a partner? Probably looks, probably sense of humor, probably religion might be important, probably financial status. Okay, let's call it money. The point is, would you choose somebody, would you choose a partner for life based on one criteria? I really love this person, right? Is that good enough of a criteria? Or are you going to look at multiple criteria when choosing a person and choosing a partner for life? It's the same thing with your career. You cannot choose a career just based on one criteria, right? My dad was an accountant, so I want to be an accountant. Or I love accounting in school, so I want to do accounting. Or I love to talk to mad people for the last 5 years and call them friends, so I want to do psychology, right? That's not really a good reason, right? You have to look at many reasons. Just like you're choosing a partner, you want to look at many reasons. You look at choosing a career based on those many reasons. So let's get straight into it. Now I'm on to careers now. This word interest and love is no longer about marriage, right? So let's talk a bit. I mean, make sure whatever you choose, you have at least an interest. Make sure you have at least an interest. Is interest the same as love? Well, you know what? I may love to be an architect, but I have an interest in painting. Understand the difference? You know, or I'd love to be an attorney at law, but you know what? I have some interest in another field that is law related, right? So my point is, make sure you have at least an interest. And as I said to you guys before, your level of exposure will give you an idea of your interest or love. And does getting up to fifth form really expose you to really the world of work and what is out there? What I'd want to suggest, I mean, you guys are good at using the internet and technology. Explore, see what the world has to offer, see how careers are changing around the world, and not just choose it based on only what you know at this point in your life. Start exploring at this stage, right? Now, employment opportunities. This is a really good one. I mean, a lot of people do degrees, and a bachelor's degree will take you 3 years to get. After you finish your bachelor's degree, they then start looking for a job. I mean, how important is employment opportunity, right? You go out there and you say, well, I have a degree, but I can't get a job. Wouldn't it make sense to first call around and find out what, target a good company, find out what would this company be hiring in 3 years? And if you're not happy with that company's answer, I mean, chances are that company wouldn't be around in the next 3 years anyway, if they have no idea who they're going to hire. So my point I'm making is make sure you call around, find out how is the market changing in 3 years' time. It's going to take me 3 years to get a degree. Look at employment opportunities. Do not just follow lawyer, doctor, accountant, engineer. Find out in 3 years' time, would we need lawyer, doctor, accountant, engineer? That's what you've been told as children. That's what you need to become. I'm suggesting to you all, it's much more than that. And you need to look outside of that box that you guys have been put into and understand how employment opportunities are changing. Another good one. Now, and I could link this to employment opportunities as well, but I'll give you an example of what shortages of skills are. If you go into the market and you see 100 vendors and they all selling tomatoes, will tomatoes be cheap or expensive? It'll be cheap because everybody's selling it. But if you go into the market and you see 100 vendors and only 2 selling tomatoes, will it be cheap or expensive? It will be expensive. It's the same thing for your career. If you pursue what everybody else is pursuing, chances are the skills are no longer short and you get paid very little. So my job really at SAM is to bring programs in to meet the shortages of skills. So what we see at SAM is that we position ourselves now to take advantage of future changes. My job is to look at what are the changes in the world, what is happening in 3, 4, 5 years time, and prepare you guys now for that change. We don't wait for the change to happen and then say, let's bring programs to satisfy that, right? So we're type of look forward to the changes program satisfy that need. So again, look at shortages of skills. Earning potential, how important is that? Now, if I give you, I did this with the 6 formers, right? I'll do this with you guys. If I give you $3,000 a month to work for me, would you work for me for that? After I take out all deductions, what about 6,000, 9,000, 12,000 a month? Now, I did a career seminar once, and I would say about 65% of the people said yes at 9,000. When I got to 12, probably about 85, 90% of them said yes at 12. So what I did, I said to them, on average, how much days in a month? And they said to me, well, on average, about 30 days in a month. I said, great. So let's divide. 3,000 a month divided by 30 is $100 a day. 6,200, 9,300, 12,000 a month is $400 a day. You could sell doubles and make that in half an hour. You could drive a taxi and make that in just over half a day. You don't need a degree for that. Now, I'm not telling you to go and sell doubles and drive a taxi, right? That's not the intention. But what I'm suggesting to you is why give your skills to somebody else? The school, SAM, that where I work, where I'm a director at, we are very, very clear. We you know what makes us different for all the schools out there, UE, Costa, all those schools out there? Those guys were set up to create employees. SAM was set up to create employers. And fundamentally, that's how we're different. We say to our students, do not work for somebody for your rest of your life and call it a career. We say to them, if you do not build your dreams, somebody's going to hire you to build theirs. And you're told, get skills, get skills, get skills. You get these skills to work for somebody for the rest of your life. I mean, I went to Saudi last week, and I am telling you now, 90% of the engineering companies are in South not owned by engineers. But who working for them? Engineers. So don't believe you must have the skill in the area to own the business. Hire the people with the competence. Well, I have no money, I can't start. You will never have any of your ducks in order. The point is start. It eventually will grow, right? Look at earning potential. Do not work for somebody for your life and call it a career. People give away $100 like a tip, right? You're trying to tell me you can't come off this career seminar now and make $100 a day doing anything? So please, do not build your skills to build somebody else's dream. Do something on your own. Okay, if the cards you get dealt with is that you have to work for someone, then your children shouldn't have to. And it's kind of young to talk about children and marriage, but I want you all to understand, doing a degree is not just about self-gratification and getting a job. It's about changing a generation. It's literally changing the trajectory of your family. Once you get this degree, your children will pass you. And that's what you're doing coming to SAM. You're coming to SAM to change a generation. It's really not about me just getting a degree and getting a job, right? It will change I'm showing pictures of helicopters and things like that, but really the reality is your education determines where you live, the kind of car you drive, who your friends are, where your children go to school. All of that depends on your education. So choose wisely. Understand that we're not an institution, SAM, that builds other people's dreams. We're very, very clear. We want you guys to get the skills that is required to build your own dreams, right? Let's move on. So these are the degrees here we have to offer at SAM. Again, I wish I could spend more time with the career guidance side of it and not really talk much about SAM, but I have a very short period, so I'm going to stick to the script, right? Now, we offer Anglia Ruskin University. We're the first school to bring a university from England into Trinidad. Anglia Ruskin University is ranked in the top 1% of universities in the world. It's globally recognized. People come to our institution literally working anywhere in the world. We could find our students anywhere in the world. And that's the sad part about SAM. I would think a lot of students leave Trinidad and get jobs abroad and not really stay here. I mean, we have a lot of students staying here, right? I mean, in Parliament now, I'm sure we have over 5-6 people with SAM degrees or master's degrees, at least 8 or 9 of them. So this is the institution of choice. This is school that they come to. Why? Because our degrees are recognized worldwide. You can do your degree here at SAM and work in any part of the world. And the degrees that we're offering right now are in management, human resource management, marketing, accounting and finance, banking and finance, international business. We also do the law as well as applied computer science. What does this all mean? What does it all mean? So let me go through this with you, so you'll have an idea. I was talking about Anglia Ruskin University just now being ranked in the top 1% of universities in the world, where pretty much the best ranked university in the Caribbean is offered in Trinidad. You don't have to leave Trinidad anymore to go to a university that's ranked in the top 1%, right? And at the end of your 3 years at SAM, you could go to England and graduate if you want. So we're housing you here for the university, right? You're not really a SAM student per se. If you start your year 1 here, you could go to England and finish your year 2 and year 3, walk straight into the university. You pay them their fees, which is a lot more, right? But you are already registered with them. So you don't have to re-register or reapply. So let's take a look at the degrees that we offer. Now, I want you all to really focus on year 1. Take a look at year 1. It's in green, right? This is our degree in management. Take a look at year 1. Look at all the subjects there. I'm going to switch the page. I'm switching the page now to human resource management. Take a look at the subjects. It's exactly the same. Take a look at the subjects here for marketing, year 1. Only year 1, exactly the same as management and HR. Take a look at your subjects here for accounting and finance. Year 1 is exactly the same. Banking and finance, year 1, exactly the same. Take a look at international business. Year 1, exactly the same. So let me go back to management. We go back to management here. Let's say you're not too sure what to sign up for when you finish. finish secondary school, you're not too sure what to sign up for. In your year one, you will, it's me personally, I don't think that CXC gives you a good idea to choose any one of these degrees. Okay, you do some accounting, so you think you should do accounting, or you do some management, you think management, but does it really prepare you to choose if you should get into human resource management? Does it really prepare you for international business? Well, okay, it does scratch the surface, but it really doesn't. So what we say to all our students, come in with an open mind. Okay, sign up for anyone. But in your year one, you will cover organizational behavior, which is human resource management. You will cover international business. You will cover finance. You will cover marketing. You will cover management. At the end of year one, you could say to me, you know what, Nigel? I signed up for management, but I love human resource management. I want to switch. You can now switch because you've gone through a year of human resource management. You would have gone through a year of strategy. You would have gone through a year of law. You've gone through a year of marketing. So my point is, come with an open mind. Yes, sign up for one, it's fine, but do not choose until the end of year one. You could switch. There's no cost to switch. At least you could switch and understand you're switching into something now that is different, right? So if you look at human resource management, you you will have to learn more law because you'll be hiring and firing. Employment relations gets into like trade unions and things like that. How to manage people from different cultures, right? You will get in HR, right? If you move on to marketing, what's marketing? Find out what people want and provide it. That's the marketing concept. There's the other side of marketing, bring something that nobody really needs and make them want it, right? There are a lot of things that we buy that we don't really need, but marketing makes us want it. So you get into marketing, and I want you all to notice, there's a subject that is common throughout all our degrees, entrepreneurial journey. We are training you to become entrepreneurs. We want you to have that ability to eventually open your own business. You will cover project management, all our students, right? Consumer behavior for marketing is why people buy: color, flavor, smell, right? How to lay out, how to design packages and stuff. You're going to cover in consumer behavior, business innovation. We're the only school now, traditional marketing degrees, you do retail marketing, how to set up a retail store, how to lay it out, colors to use and stuff you're going to get from consumer behavior. But experiential marketing gets into business to business marketing. And let me explain the difference. Retail marketing is selling to a customer, right? Or consumer, in this case. Business to business marketing is you're selling to a business that sells to a customer. So for example, I'm bringing in a product and I'm going to sell it to Superfarm that sells it now to their consumers or customers. You're with me, right? So we're the only school that's doing business to business marketing. We're not just covering retail, how to sell to consumers at the shop front, right? So again, marketing communication gets into advertising, public relations. It's all within there, right? If you look at accounting and finance, now I tell you this, one of the good things about SAM is that, we introduced ACCA, CIMA, all those different AAT back then, all those different chartered accounting qualifications. What's the pass rates to those qualifications? 20%, 15% sometimes? What's the pass rates to degrees at SAM? 98%, 99% of the people who start finish within the 3 years, right? Which is how long it takes you to get your bachelor's degree. If you look at accounting and finance, we're the only school, again, in Trinidad, where you can do your degree in 3 years at SAM, get your degree in accounting and finance, and it exempts you from year 1 and 2 of ACCA. All you do is go into and write 4 subjects. Now, we don't you write 4 subjects, you get ACCA after. So you're going to get 2 qualifications within your 4-year period, right? So the only school that exempts you from that. Pass rates for our degree in accounting, well over 98, 99% for people who start, finish within the 3 years. Pass rates for ACCA, very low. So we dropped ACCA, right? If you look now at banking and finance, more and more, now we're the first school. You'll hear me say this often, because really we were the first to bring in all these different programs. It was just UE almost 40 years ago, and SAM, it was just the 2 of us, right? And now we have a private sector for tertiary education, and lots of schools would have popped up since. Now, if you look at banking and finance, what's happening now in the industry with one world currency and cryptocurrency, a lot of students are getting into banking, not really to work for the bank, but to understand banking, to run an organization as well, right? To understand how important banking is to the organization. So now we have companies hiring people with good skills in banking, right? Not just necessarily the bank, right? So another good area there. International business. You want to hear a scary statistic? In Trinidad, what's the population of Tobago? Anybody can tell me? Okay, let's take a guess on another question. Take a guess at how many Venezuelans we have in Trinidad. I'm singling out Venezuelans for a specific reason. Let's say we have about 90,000 Venezuelans in Trinidad. What's the population at Tobago? 60,000, 65,000? We have more Venezuelans in Trinidad than Tobagonians in Tobago. Let that sink in for a little bit. We have people from all over the world working here in this country, in the energy sector, in all the different sectors, right? Can we manage everybody the same? We can't. We can't even manage people from Trinidad, North and South the same. It's very different. Understanding international business doesn't necessarily only mean you understand how to do business outside of Trinidad, but now, because we're becoming so cosmopolitan, how to manage business within Trinidad, right? Because you have now a lot of international people working for you. Of course, it's twofold. It gets you the skills to work in Trinidad with an international, with international HR people, but then you go outside of Trinidad. How do I do business outside of Trinidad? You get a lot more into international business, intercultural management and things like that, right? We also have our degree in law. Guys, sorry I'm speeding, but I really have a short period of time and I want to get your questions in as well, right? We also have our degree in law. Now, what makes us different with law? Like all our degrees, let me say this to you guys. If you want to just write exams, don't come to SAM. SAM is not an institution that gets you to cram and write exam, right? We want you to apply what you're learning. So a lot of our degrees that I mentioned there before, right? And even our law degree, you don't just have an exam. You have assignments and exams to do. Because I think it's unfair that you just write an exam and you're judged based on that 1 to 3 hour exam for your entire semester, your entire term, right? So Anglican does with their law degree, they say, don't just write an exam because you could have had a bad day writing that exam. Let's first get you to do assignments. Let you do a midterm. Let's assess you throughout the time that you're within the semester. That's how first world countries do it, right? They don't just wait till the end and say, write an exam and that's supposed to determine your last 5 years. It's crazy, right? So they will, throughout the semester, monitor you through. You'll have midterms to do, you'll have assignments to do. So pass rates for a law degree right now, 100%, not even 99, 100% of the students who have started or have moved into their year 2 and year 3, right? So understand why the pass rates are so high. It's because they're no longer just looking at a one exam type situation. You will have to do presentations as well, right? So again, outside of the University of West Indies, SAM, almost 40 years ago, was the only school that did law. We were the only school doing law. And in fact, we were the only school that you could have stayed in Trinidad and do your whole 3 years of law, right? When you had to go to you had to go to Barbados and spend 2 years. Those times have changed, but we dropped law. You know what? We dropped law, we dropped accounting. We're School of Accounting and Management. And there was a period of time that SAM never ran accounting. We just decided that, look, we're not going to run accounting. We were producing too many accountants. We were producing too many lawyers. We stopped banking as well because we were just producing too many, right? But we are seeing now where the market is shifting back into asking people who probably would have an engineering degree to have some law, right? Or, you have a management degree, they want some law. So they're asking for multi-skill type qualifications now, not necessarily to practice. If you want to practice, you can with your law degree, but a lot of companies now are hiring people with a law degree, not to practice, but to help them formulate contracts and stuff like that. So your law degree is like our degrees and not exams only, right? It's also the least expensive law degree in the country. It's not a reason to do it, and just thought I'd slip that in as well. Now, computing, right? Guys, let me explain this. Your degree in computing, again, very practical. In your year 1, you're going to be building computers. Take a look, computer systems. I'll just go through it quickly generally. In year 1, you're going to be building computers, building networks, building websites, e-commerce websites with shopping carts where people can buy and sell online. And since COVID, everybody's now going online and shopping, even within Trinidad, right? Now, our year 1 students are building websites, not even year 2 and year 3. We're talking about the skills alone you get after year 1. You could not just build a website, but you could build an e-commerce website for people to buy and sell online. But that's not the only skill you're going to get. You're going to learn networking. You're going to learn databases. You're going to learn to develop databases. You're going to build computers as well. Hands-on training, right? You will have to go into your lab. You will have to write case studies and stuff like that based on what you've been doing on the lab. In year 2, you get into animations and stuff, with dynamic websites. You get a lot more involved into databases. You will be doing a bit of business in there because you will have to implement computer systems in business. So it's a mix of computing and management, 85% computing, 15% management, right? Your final year, take a look at your final year. So Anglia Ruskin University, and you will get into hacking. Well, notice the word before it, right? It says ethical hacking and countermeasures. You know, you may have to sometimes break into your own system, right? To fix, you know, or to prevent people from breaking into the system, right? So they will teach you how to hack and how to prevent hackers from coming into your networks. Image processing gets into like facial recognition, retina recognition, fingerprint recognition. Again, heavy into security management and governance, cloud computing, everything is saved in the cloud now. You know, so really we are training you guys we are future-proofing. I love that word, future-proof. We are training you guys for not just the skills required today, but the way we see things are changing in the industry. We are suggesting that students who have completed this degree here really could work in any organization of their choice. They could literally close their eyes and work anywhere of their choice. Now, entry requirements. I think you guys are in 5th form, so entry requirements are important. Guess what? CAPE A-levels, no longer necessary. Let me go back to that, sorry. Let me go back to that. Your CAPE and A-levels no longer necessary. Straight from O-levels, Anglia Ruskin is going to take you into our degree in computing, and you finish your degree in 3 years. If you do it A-levels, you're going to start at the same point as somebody who completed O-levels, right? A bachelor's degree will take you 3 years, bachelor's degree 3 years, right? If you want to do computing, to get into computing, all you need is 5 O-levels, English, math, and any other 3 subjects. England really only cares about English and math. Now, I'm not telling you all to fail the other subjects, right? I'm just saying that once you have English, math, and any other 3, you could walk straight into your degree in computing. You no longer need A-levels. If you spend 2 years at A's, right? If you spend 2 years at A's, you're going to enter year 1 of your degree for computing. So why waste 2 years? And if let's say, you know, some of your friends go ahead and do A-levels, well, while you're entering year 3, they're now entering year 1. Understand, why do we do O's and A's in the first place? It's a pathway to get to your degree. It's not a qualification, it's a pathway. It actually gets you into a degree. England has changed the method of getting you guys into degrees now. So now, why it's no longer one route. If you didn't have A-levels in my time, well, because I'm old, you couldn't do a degree. Those days are now gone, right? So you now no longer need A-levels to get into your degree. If you want to do our degrees in management, marketing, human resource management, accounting, and finance, we will take you from CXE. Once you completed your CXE, right, you do a certificate for 9 months, 7 to 9 months, you finish that certificate and you get straight into your degree. So again, instead of spending 2 years at A's, you just spend 7 months at SAM, get your certificate that gets you into your degree. So we're now eliminating a whole year and a half from you from going into A-levels, right? So once you do that certificate, all your degrees, law, marketing, accounting and finance, human resource management, which includes psychology and stuff like that, it's all within there, straight from your O-levels, right? So do not pursue A's if you want to come to SAM. That's pretty much my message, right? If you look below here, you see mature entry. This mature entry basically means that, let's say you had a hard time at O-levels within that couple of weeks and you didn't get through for some reason. You got people workers. England accepts 2 years work experience as entry into all their degrees, including law, right? I am not telling you all to fail O-levels. I am not saying to fail CSEC. I am not saying to fail CSEC. But if you do not get through for some reason and you work for 2 years or you have had 2 years work experience, you could do any degree you wish, right? Again, I have my numbers up there. You could call me and we could discuss this further, right? Now, students at SAM, why come to SAM? We have well over 16,000 short courses free to all our students who registered Anglia Ruskin, right? I want you all to go check this out. Screenshot this, lynda.com, L-Y-N-D-A, lynda.com. If you go to lynda.com, you're going to get an international certificate from LinkedIn if you complete any of their courses. I mean, any short course you can think of, from events management to project management to design, web development, software development, photography, you name it, it's in there. How to develop apps and stuff like that. So it's all in there, free to SAM students. If you do like 10 short courses, is really pretty much the cost of doing your degree, right? So literally you could get your degree free at SAM if you knock off all of these short courses that you can as well over your 3 years with us, right? So you don't have to go out and pay for short courses. They're all available to you guys free. And they're not local short courses. They are LinkedIn, and you know LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is really, they recognized worldwide. You could take their short courses anywhere and add them to your degree and say, look, I have these qualifications as well with my qualification, right? With my degree. Now, again, if any subject gives you a problem, I'm talking about what makes us different now. If any subject gives you a problem, you could book a tutor one-on-one. It's free. You see, pass rates mean a lot to us at SAM. If you fail, nobody wants to come to SAM. Why would you want to come to SAM if you're failing, right? So you could book a tutor one-on-one. You don't have to pay for extra lessons. You don't have to pay SAM extra money. You're reading, you're coming to class, you're not understanding some areas, book your tutor, right? You could book you via your program manager, you book your tutor one-on-one, and you get the help that you need and you move on. Now, student counseling, we also have we have a couple counselors on board, and they will see our students. Sometimes your academic problems, you're getting problems with your academics, but they have absolutely nothing to do with your academics. Probably something at home that you just need to bounce off and get some advice on. We have 2 counselors on board as well that help students through. Payment plans, guys, we are the least expensive. We have the least expensive degrees in the country. Certainly our law degrees are least expensive, our masters as well, our MBAs. We have a lot of payment plans. The payment plans are designed to meet whatever need you have. So it's very flexible. I can't send you one. You could come to us and say, look, this is how I intend to pay you. And we will sign it off, have you sign a contract. We don't charge interest or anything, right? Because we're not a bank, right? We will spread your payments apart so you don't have to pay all your fees up front. Again, enter with CXC. You do not need to do A-levels. If you're already in A-levels and looking at this program, finish. I'm not saying to drop out. Finish it. At least it gets you into your year 1 as opposed to doing that certificate. Time options. You can come to SAM full-time or evenings or Saturdays only. And you finish your degree in the same 3 years. Now that we're online, you literally, you can do it Saturdays only. You could work during the week. You log in online, and our virtual experience is really very good. I think second to none. We save all our classes that we record them and save them on the cloud. So students could come in and take a look at those classes at any point in time again if they missed it, or if they're there physically, right, and mentally they're somewhere else, they could always log back in and look at the class that they missed, just to refresh what they're doing in the week. So all the classes are online. You could book your tutor one-on-one. If you want to come to campus, Saturdays only, evenings only, when COVID, all these restrictions are finished, or you could come to school full-time, right? You have different time options. You don't have to stick to one. You could use multiple time options over a period of time, not at the same time, but different semesters you can. Let's move on quickly. What makes us different? We will never treat you equally. We will never treat you equally at SAM, right? Really, if you look at those guys there, they all get the same box, right? All of them have the same size box. We will not train our students the same way. We understand that they're different learning abilities, and we will treat you equitably, right? So that's what I'm saying. Our student services allow for people to book tutors one-on-one, and there are other services as well that will get you that equitable treatment. If you look at small man there, we treated him equal to the tall guy, but they still at a disadvantage. You still have to, peek through a hole. We will treat you equitably to make sure you guys finish well, right? What makes us different? I'm running out of time, right? But what makes us different? Again, we are truly an international business school. These are some of the professors who would have flown in and lectured at SAM. We get to go up for training as well. They train our staff. Our tutors come in. We have conferences. We're the only private school in the country that's doing international conferences as well. We get to present. They present as well. People talk about facilities. I have some pictures just to show you all, but I want you all to come in and see it. Come in and see the facility, right? I promise you, you would have not seen anything at all like it anywhere in the Caribbean. Come into our North Campus. I want to show you our postgraduate building. It will blow your mind. I mean, literally blow your mind. I'm not just saying it. I say, come and see, and then you could compare. What makes us different? We have now over 650, 700, 800 computers around there, 6,800 computers. I lose count now. All with internet access. There's pictures of more pictures of our classrooms, further classroom pictures here. Again, all our chairs, if you look at them, they all swivel. All our desks are with wheels on them. All our boards are electronic boards. I mean, it's really a facility that will blow your mind, right? But I want you to come in and experience it. Okay, I have pictures of the restroom. I don't know why they put pictures of the restroom there, but at least you get to see it. I mean, literally, it's like walking into a five-star hotel, right? Without paying a five-star price, right? Um, so more pictures of restrooms again. So you get to see our restrooms there, right? So come in and see us. Come in and see what makes us different. What makes us different? Guys, you ever wonder where all these CEOs and politicians and they send their children? It's at SAM. Take a look at all the companies. We did this like about 8 years ago, 9 years ago now. All these companies, everybody in the energy sector, the hotels, the tourism, banking, they all come to SAM. Right? Air Guard, Army, all these guys send their students to SAM, right? Their employees to SAM. We have people from the university. If you look there, you'll see people from the University of West Indies, Atolok, Jack Costa, they all come to SAM, UTT, they all come to SAM, right? So they all come to SAM, and so why shouldn't you, right? You guys have the same opportunity as they do. You are no different to anybody, right? You are as equal as anybody else there. So I want you to come in and see us. Come in and see us and let's chat. Let's get further career guidance so you can talk to you all not on how to come to SAM, but how to choose a career, right? That's really my main focus, right? What makes us different? This was graduation in 2011. This was graduation in 2011, and it's only 1/3 of our students who graduated that year, right? I have just one more slide which says questions after. So this is sample of the only reason we still show this picture, right? Now, again, as I say, 1/3, if you multiply this number of students you're seeing there by 3, right, you'll get the amount of students who are actually supposed to graduate that year. But it's the last time we had one graduation. That's why it's kind of sentimental. We show you a 10-year-old picture. And if you notice, the British tutors will come in anyway. Take a look, they come in anyway. This is one of our graduations at Hyatt, I think year before last. And the professors come in. I think they smile a little bit more on this picture though. But they come in and they give you your degree anyway. Again, you could go up to England and graduate. Right? We're the largest private school in the country. Our faculty for management is larger than University of West Indies. University of West Indies is larger than in size because of all the different programs. But if you look at management, if you look at our MBAs, we produce more MBA students than anybody else in the Caribbean. So we're not a small school. We have over 200 staff. It's a big operation. And I want you all to be a part of it, right? I don't only want people who look outside and look in. I want you guys to walk in and walk around, get a feel for what is different. Come in and see something that is truly international and different, right? So I think that's my time there. I think I went over by 4 minutes, right? I'll take my questions now.
Good afternoon,
Good
students.
afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Fulchan. Students, let's take questions from students at this time. Do we have any questions? Students, we're encouraging you to ask your questions. Dr. Fulchan is here to share information with you, whatever things you need to clarify. Now is the time. He has imparted so much information, such a comprehensive presentation, Dr. Fulchan. And he would have spoken to you on the importance of education, different criteria you should look at before starting a program, a tertiary level program. So things like the shortage of skills in our society, world changes, right? Also changing the tradition of your generation and improving as each generation goes by. There should be some improvement. Also the affiliations with other universities like Angela Ruskin's university, and that you can do short courses with LinkedIn and lessen your time at their institution. So such good information. I think that SAMS is definitely a good choice for tertiary level education.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you mentioned 5 O-levels as required to enter, but if I only have 4 levels, can you consider me?
Yeah, is this Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Mr. Roberts, I didn't want to say it as the reality of it, but I'm happy asking the question. A student with no CXC passes can enter SAM. 0, right? We would require them to at least finish CXC. And this is not just SAM, I'm talking about England. If you finish your O-levels in England and for some reason didn't get through, again, because there's something that happened over that 2-week period of time when you're writing your O-levels, you're no longer doomed. I remember in my time, you were doomed if you didn't have O's or A's. There's now a second chance. That second chance is to enter your degree with a certificate program. And that certificate program is open entry. So for example, I could do 0 science subjects and still be a doctor, right? I could do English, math, history, literature, and let's say accounting, right? And still be a doctor. Why? Because to do a pre-med certificate, it's an open entry certificate. It takes you 2 years. Once you have English and math, you get into pre-med for 2 years. So really, O levels and A levels as a pathway now to university is no longer the only way. So there's room not just for people who pass 4 subjects, but people who pass no subjects. I am not telling them to fail. Again, that is why I didn't go along that way to really spread it, but it is the reality. Yes, Ms. McIntosh.
Yes, Dr. Fulchan, I have a question from a student. Bridget would like to know if students that come have to do the degrees at SAM, is it that they have to go to the Anglo-Ruskin University away, or can everything be done right here at the School of Accounting and Management?
Okay, fantastic question. Yes, you can do all of it here. And that's why we're in business for 40 years. So we students can no longer have to go to university. There is an option if you want to, right? If you want to leave Trinidad, you do year 1 and 2 in Trinidad, and you decide, look, you know what, I want to go into do my final year in England, you can. You don't have to reapply because you're already their student. So you're literally getting your British degree. And you know what, your degree, if you look at your actual qualification, in there, it says nothing different from somebody who actually went to school in England. So it's not an external program, it's not a friend, you are actually attending university at SAM. That's okay, Ms. McIntosh?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fulchan.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions from students?
Yes, I wanted to also ask Dr. Fulchan, in terms of the registration period, is it that registration is allowed all for the academic year, or is there a particular registration time frame that students need to come into the school or sign up for the school, and how can they go about signing up for a degree at School of Accounting and Management?
Okay, great questions again. So we have 2 major intakes at SAM, right? Classes usually start in October or May, right? There's also a February intake, right? And sorry, it's the February and September intake. There's also a May intake, but that's only for our master's degrees. So students literally, our registration period is open throughout the year. So there's no period of time. You come into SAM at any point in time, and you can actually get into any of these intakes at either the September or that February intake, right? Remember, it's not an application process where you sit there and wait, right? You come in with your qualifications and say to us, these are my qualifications, this degree I want to do. And we set up that pathway for you to get your degree, right? And we will tell you, we'll schedule the time. We could say to you, start September, October, or start February, March, right? We have that 2 major intakes for undergraduate students. For master's students, they have 3 intakes, February, May, and September.
Thank you, Dr. Fulchan.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay, we are running out of time. So Dr. Fulchan, again, I want to thank you for imparting such valuable information to our students. I trust that they would enroll at your institution and capitalize on the many opportunities that you have and the very interesting courses that you have to offer. So thanks again for participating in this event.
Thank you guys for having me. Look forward to well, again, thanks again for having me. And I think you all had a really fantastic week as far as I understand. So really good job.
Yes, so we look forward to having you again. Thanks, take care. Bye.
Not okay.
Okay, we would now have Professional Airline Training Solutions, and Mr. Rodney Rugby is our presenter. So let's welcome him as he shares pertinent information on the programs that they have to offer and the entry requirements. So let's welcome Mr. Rodney Rugby at this time.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on board our ProETS. Welcome aboard our ProETS 1 flight deck. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm not sure how many of you actually would like to pursue a career in aviation, or how many of you like to be pilots. I hope it's a lot of you, because Boeing, the CEO of Boeing rather, has stated that in the next 15 years, we need over 800 presently, I've been in aviation for over 20 years. I'm a pilot with Caribbean Airlines, and I love my job. This is definitely one of the best offices that you could ever work in. It's about 37,000 feet in the air to 41,000 feet sometimes. You have no boss over you, and you get paid to essentially travel around the world, eat at nice restaurants, visit friends, visit family, maybe tour places or countries that you've never been to before. So it's really an exciting, it's a dynamic environment, one that's always changing. If you like change, it's no 2 days are ever the same. Let's put it that way. Okay. So again, my name is Rodney. You can call me Rod. And what I'd like to do is just give you a demo of the flight deck. So I have a short video here for you, and we are going to present that to you now, and then we'll come back into the flight deck, and maybe I'll give you a tour of the actual buttons, displays, switches, and controls. And if we get some time, we can maybe do a takeoff, a landing, or a short flight into one of the airports. All right, how's that sound? Good? Okay, so here comes video number one.
I want to thank Pro ATS for giving me this opportunity to be able to fly a jet simulator. I never thought I would have been in a pilot's seat and being able to control everything. It was honestly an amazing experience, and it was a thrill of a lifetime.
So welcome back, everyone. So that was a brief video about our flight simulator. I'll take you a little bit more in depth into it now. This is actually a replica of a 737, a Boeing 737-800 simulator called the NG, the next generation series of airplanes. A little background about the aviation sector. For instance, if you are interested in being a pilot, there are the steps that you would have to take to become a pilot would, of course, be to seek your private license, which allows you to fly an airplane but not for hire. You'll then need to acquire a instrument rating license, which allows you to fly single engine aircraft, not for hire, but in any meteorological conditions less than visual. So for instance, cloud, and that essentially we're navigating solely on instruments. Okay. The next step would be a multi-engine instrument rating, where we introduce you to two airplanes with 2 engines. And then after that, you acquire your commercial license. And your commercial license is what says it's a license that allows you to be able to work for hire. So essentially you get paid to fly, okay, which is what I do. It's great when you do what you love doing. You'll never work a day in your life, and especially when you get paid to do what you love doing. It's just it's icing on the cake. But don't tell Caribbean Airlines I said that; they might take away my salary. The entry level for Caribbean Airlines at present is 5 O levels. However, the requirements have not changed for many years. A lot of our individuals actually come in and they have degrees, they have different amounts of flight times, and so on. So the different levels of the different criteria that these candidates come in with make them more of an asset for the organization. Okay. There's the starting salary at Caribbean Airlines is about just over $20,000 TT per year, and that's as a first officer or a co-pilot. Plus you get per diem. I'm being corrected here. If I didn't say over $20,000 per month, that's what I meant. So sorry. Thank you, Nalini. That's Nalini in the back. Nalini is reminding. Nalini is auditing me, watching me, making sure I do a good job. Right. So it's over $20,000 a month when you actually look at the per diem, which is a travel allowance that they give you, and they give you your car allowance. You're probably making anywhere between in the vicinity of about $23,000 to $25,000 a month on entry level. Okay. First year captains, you're making about I would say close to about $50,000 a month, and that can vary. If you go to different airlines around the world, the salaries can be less. Probably not. Probably be more. I have had a lot of job opportunities abroad, paying me 3-4 times my salary that I command in Trinidad. However, this is home, and it's where I like to be. So money is not everything. But it's a great opportunity to travel the world. You fly with a company like Emirates, or those airlines that have hundreds of aircraft and fly all over the world. It's great. It's great. I mean, it's a great way of seeing the world for free, and better than just free, getting paid for it. Okay, so we've kind of went through the requirements of becoming a pilot. At our facility here, you can actually visit our facility, and we have programs like private pilot preparation programs, instrument preparation programs. We have advanced instrument training. So we train aspiring pilots, and we also train commercial pilots. So the aspiring pilots come to us and say, look, we want to be pilots. And we say, okay, well, these are the steps that you need to take. Simply outlined as I just did with you. And then we tell them how we can help them. A lot of our participants do extremely well in their job hunting because of the foundation. They have a really, really good foundation, and a lot of them are actually flying with Caribbean Airlines now, and some of them have never even returned back to Trinidad because they have received job offers away. All right. So based on that, before I go through the cockpit with you, is there any questions? Anything I failed to mention? Any questions I have that I can answer for you?
How long does the training last?
Okay, good question. There are different types of programs. The programs at our facility, and really depends on how diligent you are, how disciplined you are. The programs, the flying could last between, I've seen our students finish anywhere between 4 weeks to 8 months. Again, depending on the program that they choose. In terms of flying abroad and acquiring a private license, a commercial license, a multi-engine instrument rating. Again, I've seen students take anywhere between a year to 2 years. Now, of course, those who have participated in our training will actually finish their license a lot quicker because they've already been introduced to the theory. They've already practiced all of the flight maneuvers in our flight simulator. So it's just a matter of really going up to the flight school and fulfilling the minimum requirements. So again, it's a good question. To recap, it depends on the programs that you're interested in. If it's just a private license, if it's a commercial license, and if you want to do any extra flying after that, that would also be a factor in determining how much time it would take.
Okay, I have a question from a student. A student would like to know how often do pilots work? So do pilots work every day? Or what kind of regularity do pilots have in terms of how often do they fly planes? If they get a traditional, conventional job as a pilot, how often are they expected to work?
Oh, another good question. It's one of my favorite questions, actually. The average worker works about 160 hours a month. A pilot works about, we do about 60 hours a month. So, because we have a certain amount of time, which is called our time duty regulations, and we cannot fly more than a certain allotment of time. So typically it's about 80 hours, but they never really push us to 80. It's probably about 60 hours a month. So you can imagine some people do that in 1 week. We do that over a period of a month. So and hence the reason why a lot of flight crew have businesses on the side, because they have a lot of extra time on their hands.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I have a question. Do you have to have like extra skills to be a pilot? Like, so do you have to know how to do CPR and swimming and such like?
And add to that a foreign language.
No, I can swim to save my life. So no, you don't need to have swimming. However, having said that, when you are recruited, they will take you through emergency procedures. For instance, should you have to land an aircraft on water? And quite honestly, I must give kudos to the flight attendants, because before I started flying, I thought of flight attendants as just, a waiter or waitress in the sky, which is definitely not. I mean, they really know, they really have a lot of information behind them, a lot of knowledge, and they're the ones who really go into it more in depth. As pilots, we jump in a large pool like a Center of Excellence. We open up a life raft. We have a life vest on. We go into the water, get ourselves back on the boat, and they show us some techniques on survival. And that's really about it. We do learn CPR, and it's really depends on how the program, how the program is structured at the airlines. The airlines will have a certain curriculum, a mandate to follow, and it will be done over maybe a period of 10, 12 years. And every year they cover, or every 2 years they cover a certain topic. CPR is one that we tend to do quite often. So
Okay.
you don't have to know it up front, but however you can you will be taught CPR when you join it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And one more, what about the foreign language requirement? Is it necessary? You said that we have to have 5 O-levels. Should one of those subjects be a foreign language? Is that is having a foreign language necessary to become a pilot?
It's not necessary. I would say it's certainly an asset. I myself, I the only language I know is English. There are, and I think I probably share the same criteria as maybe 95% of the pilots in terms of languages. Some of the flight attendants speak Spanish. Some of them maybe speak French or have another language behind them. So no, it's definitely not a requirement, but as I said, it could definitely be an asset, or it will definitely be an asset. Maths and English are the only 2 mandatory subjects for Caribbean Airlines at this given point in time. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions from students?
Not at this time.
Okay, so what would you like to maybe take a flight with us in our flight simulator?
Sure, I think that will be a very good experience for our students, Mr. Rabir.
Okay, sure. So we are positioned at runway 06 right in Toronto, Canada. And what we will do is we'll take off. We'll maintain runway heading till about maybe 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, at which point in time we will make a right turn. And if we're lucky, we might get a view of the CN Tower. Okay. Before I take off though, let me just do a little time check. How much time do we have that in the It's 2:02 right now. 2:02? Yeah. Okay. And how much longer do we have with the program?
You have 28 more minutes.
28 more minutes. Okay. So,
Sir, excuse, I have a question from a student before you take off. Is that okay? They just typed it up.
Sure.
A student would like to hear your feedback on terms of how dangerous it is to become a pilot in your experience and what that you would have had in the profession and the career. They would like to hear your feedback on how dangerous you would say it is to become a pilot.
okay, another good question. It's not dangerous at all. Every aspect of flying, you will be trained and you will be ready for that phase of operation. It's a fact that flying is the safest form of travel. If I'm not mistaken, I think they say 1 in 249 million flights have an incident or accident on board. That's a pretty good track record. So you can imagine there's flights taking off and landing all the time. In fact, right now in like Chicago or Kennedy, as one airplane lands, another one takes off. We have so much redundancy systems in the aircraft. It's incredible. I mean, we have load shedding devices such as autopilot. We have auto throttles. We have another crew member. We have air traffic control. We have TCAS, which is traffic collision avoidance system. And just to give you a brief analogy, in your vehicle, you are driving sometimes a couple of feet away from another vehicle, sometimes inches away from another vehicle. In the airspace, traffic for us is within 5 nautical miles of our aircraft, plus or minus 1,000 feet. So, and if we don't do something, the airplane will start talking to us and say, climb, 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 descend, descend. And it actually shows us on the displays where to put the nose. So how to prevent a mid-air collision. And I've never seen it in real life. I've only seen it in the simulator without training. But that's why we have simulation. Simulation is to keep us proficient, so that should we encounter any type of emergency or any of those situations on any given day, it would turn out to be non-eventful. So it really isn't dangerous at all. As I mentioned, the aircraft has a lot of redundancy systems. The first certification process, the airplane should be able to take off, even though you have 2 engines. The airplane should be able to take off on 1 engine and land on 1 engine, and have you cruise for hours on 1 engine as well. So although you see 2 engines on an aircraft, we use them because we have them, of course. But in the event that we had to shut one down, it would be really not eventful, as long as we handled it well. And most collisions happen as a result of what we call pilot error or human factors issue. Now our training is very specialized. It's specialized. I mean, as a pilot, you would learn about weather, so you'd be like a meteorologist. You have to know about air law. You need to know about physiology, so you're like a doctor as well. You'd have to be like a mechanic because you have to know about the different aircraft systems. So it's a pretty demanding job. Every 6 months, you are getting tested because they want to make sure that you can, in fact, take individuals from one place to another safely, right? So I really don't have any concerns when I'm taking off, and I don't think my crew does either. Because we're just trained. We're trained to handle situations. Now we can't be trained in every situation that could occur, but we create a model, and that model can be applied to pretty well any situation that could happen to us, and it will assist us in handling the scenario or the situation in a professional and safe manner.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rabbi. One final question before we go into the simulation.
Sure.
Another student will want to know, is it true that pilots are trained to eat different kinds of food in case of food poisoning? I have never heard that before, but the student would like to know if that is something that's myth or is it true?
Yeah, there is some truth to that actually. They're on board the aircraft. We cannot eat the same food within a 1 hour period. As well as on the ground, if we go to dine, we should not eat the same food. We should not order the same food at the restaurant or the establishment, because they figure if there is something like food poisoning, then you could have a pilot incapacitation situation where one pilot is for lack of better words, out of the system, and it leaves room for only one pilot to be able to conduct the flight. Now, the worst case scenario is if they both ate at the same facility, the same restaurant, and they both had the same meals, and they both became incapacitated. Then you can imagine the situation would escalate somewhat. So hence the reason why. So the student is quite right. There is a stipulation on what we can eat and when we can eat it. But there's lots of good food on the plane, so it's not really. You could get salmon, you could get chicken, you could get. I mean, I'm vegetarian, so but. Then there's veggie food there as well, but there's lots of good choices, so you never really have to worry about that.
Okay, that's very interesting. I really didn't know. Okay, that's the end to the questions from our side. You are free to go ahead with the simulation.
Okay, thank you. And just time check, how long do we have? 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to take you through the cockpit here. Just show you what some of the switches, the buttons, some of the displays, and the controls, what they do. Okay, so up here, this is what's known as our overhead panel. There we go, get a better view there. So this is really what we call a standby system. And a lot of these switches, we really only have to access in the event of an abnormal situation. And in that case, the checklist would direct us to these switches. Here's our navigation panels. This is our fuel panel. And the fuel panel is really, the fuel panel is just like the fuel pumps that you would have in a car, except that it's not automatic. We would actually turn them on and off as we need to. And the reason why they're not automatic is because, as you can imagine, if we had a leak in a system or overheated, it could present a variety of potential issues. Okay. Up here is our electrical system. And the electrical system comes quite down to here. Here are our wipers. These are our lights. And we talked about food. One of the most important switches in this cockpit is this button here. It's the attendant button. So we press it and we get the girls, a nice smile coming, and they say, "Yes, Captain, what would you like?" And we say, "We would like coffee, please," or "We would like a meal." And they say, "Certainly." They warm it up, and away we go. All right. This is our icing panel. So when we get up to altitude, it's very, very cold up there, so we don't want to develop ice on any of our control surfaces. This light here, this annunciator, actually shows us if there are any doors open. This is our pressurization panel. Up there is actually our temperature control. So it's our climate control, if you will, for the cabin and for the cockpit. And it's just a rheostat. So it's like your air conditioning in your house. If you want it, or your car, if you want it warmer, you raise the temperature. If you want it colder, you lower the temperature. Down below is the bleed system. And this is what gives our air conditioning system the air to operate. Okay. Below that, those lights there are actually our cabin pressurization panels, and it tells us whether or not it's pressurizing correctly or not. To my left here, we have an annunciator light, and it shows us if there are any issues with the aircraft. And as you can see, it's clearing, so there are no issues. This is a control panel that sets up my displays. Here is my autopilot panel. And essentially, when we get up to about 1,000 or 2,000 feet in the air, we just engage the autopilot, and we just have to turn some buttons, turn some switches or dials, press some buttons, hit a switch or two, and that's as much as we need to do, really. This down here is our landing gear. So when we take off, that's the lever that actually brings our landing gear up. Next to it is the display there, and the display actually shows us our engine instruments. I'll show you. Kevin will just press P on the keyboard. So I'm going to push some power up, and you can see the parameters of the engines increasing. Off to my left here is what we call our primary flight display. The blue is the sky, and the brown represents the ground. On the left side, we have our indicated airspeed. Off to the right is our altimeter. And because it's a primary flight display, we have all of our information on one display, just in case we lose any one of these screens. The screen next to it is actually our navigation display. So I could, in fact, create airport stations. I could actually see different sets of information on that display. So that would allow me to know, if there was an emergency and I needed to land at a different airport, you would say, okay, well, look, these are all the airports that you have, pick one, right? So that is our airports, that's our stations, and now we have a clear screen. In the event that we lose all of our instruments, this is what we call our standby instruments. And those two instruments there essentially allow us to fly the airplane solely on those two instruments. This keyboard that you see lit up here, this is what we call our CDU, our control display unit. And it is our flight management computer. And it essentially, we load a flight from here to Toronto. As we get up to about 3,000 feet, 2,000 feet, we just hit the autopilot and it could fly straight to Toronto. It could actually reduce the speed. It could actually perform an auto land. So we don't even really need to land the aircraft. The aircraft could fly and land on its own. This is our throttle quadrants. If you'll notice, there are some handles here. That's what we call reverse thrust. And there is a misconception. Reverse thrust, people assume that the engines start turning the opposite direction, which is the case. So reverse thrust is essentially where the sleeve of the engine opens and the air is deflected in a different manner. Okay, and then here we have our fire suppression panel. In the event of a fire, that's kind of what you would see. And then here we have our radios. And our radios allow us to talk to different frequencies, tune in different instruments, etc., so that we can perform our auto lands. Okay, or guide us to an airport. Okay. This is our control column. If we turn it left, just like your car steering wheel, the vehicle will go left. Turn it right, and the aircraft will go right. On the floor here, you'll see the pedals. And those are what we call rudder pedals. And those pedals actually help us to control the aircraft on the ground. Okay, so having said that, we're on runway 06 right, Toronto International, Lester B. Pearson International Airport. The tower has cleared us to 5,000 feet on a runway heading of 057. And they've told us to maintain a speed of 200. So, assisting me on the flight deck is First Officer Kevin Boudram. And Kevin and I will be sharing duties today. All right. So, without any further ado, so on a jet aircraft, we typically bring it up to 40% power. So the engines spool up evenly. And then I will say set power. There we go. Knots. V1, rotate. There's positive rate, gear up. Thousand feet. On the autopilot, heading select. Auto throttle is on. I'm gonna put it in speed mode. And I'm gonna make a right turn. Let me know if you see the CN Tower anywhere. If you look off to the right, You'll see downtown Toronto. And a tall tower is what's known as the CN Tower. And so we're flying over downtown Toronto now. And straight ahead is the CN Tower. And I'm just gonna make a right turn so I don't see any military fighters come up and try to intercept me. Okay, and again, there's the CN Tower off to the left. Okay, now Tower has told us to stop climb. So there's a button there where we just actually, it's out hold, we stop climb. And they say through ATS1, turn right heading 190. We're gonna turn to a heading of 190. Now Tower says to us, for ATS1, I think you left some precious passengers behind in Toronto. I think it was some government official. So I think you better get back there and pick them up. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to do landing into Toronto. Where would you like to land? Would you like to land in Toronto? Would you like to land in New York or Trinidad? So let me know your preference.
We can land in Trinidad. I think that might be relatable for the children.
Okay. So, yeah. So I'm gonna have Jason in the back there set us up for Trinidad on a 10-mile final into Trinidad, and then we will commence our approach. And if you look outside, this is a beautiful view. Like when we take off out of Trinidad, and Trinidad is just, the weather is just pouring rain in Trinidad, and within about 2 minutes, this is what we see: clear blue skies, because we're above all of the weather. And similarly in New York or Toronto, it's really a great. It's really a wonderful experience, and definitely a great opportunity to experience such a dynamic environment. And if any of you are ever in the Twin City area, you can feel free to contact us. I guess the lady will probably show you our contact information, but it's our phone number is 223-5644. Feel free to come in and take a picture in our flight simulator. Okay. All right, so here we go. We have been cleared for there we go, and we're gonna take me off pause. I'll hold. So tower has cleared us for the approach into Trinidad. So we're arming the approach. Tower tells us for ATS1, slow to 190 knots. We go to 190, we're gonna start to take flaps. Flap on. Tower says slow to speed 170. So we go flap 5, speed 170. And I'm going to bring the gear down, flap 15. Speed 150. And we're going to set flap 30, our landing flap. And speed 150. Our missed approach altitude, in case we can't land, we have to take off again, is 4,100 feet. That's the computer telling us 1,000 feet. And as a flight crew, we will both acknowledge 1,000 feet. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot. The autopilot will make a noise. That's to let us know that we've disengaged the autopilot. Disengage the auto throttles. Now I'm flying manually.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. Approaching minimums. 20. 10.
There we go. On the ground, bring up my reversers. And I'm coming off this taxiway here. What do you think? Was that a good job? Did I do a good job or did I do a bad job?
It was excellent, Mr. Ragby. We appreciate that a whole lot, and I'm sure the students did too as well.
Okay, great. So, do we have a couple of more minutes left? Well, are we out of time? 2:32. Okay, so I think we've used up all of our time. We appreciate you inviting us to your virtual career day. And as I said, the offer is available for you to come and feel free to take a picture at our simulator. We are located at Lot 25 Reserve Road, Trin City Business Park. We're just behind Badwin Singh's at the airport. You can visit us at drivewisett.com. Our phone number is 223-5644 or 719-5021. Okay, well, we hope you had a great time. It was certainly a pleasure having you as our audience, and I look forward to flying with you one day really soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Very nice.
Thanks very much, Mr. Ragbir. I
Thanks very
certainly
much.
enjoyed your presentation, and I'm sure that the students did. That simulation was excellent. And I know some of them would definitely consider being a pilot as their career choice. So thanks again, and we look forward to having you impart information to our students at another time.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you.
It was our pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye. So students, we have Fire Officer Rogers with us, and he would explain to you the different careers in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services Division, the entry requirements, the life of a fire officer, their duty duties, and so on. So let us welcome Officer Rogers as he presents to us.
Good day. Welcome to the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. The Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service was established on the 1st of January 1951. Prior to this, firefighting was undertaken by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In the fire service, firefighting is done by both males and females, hence the term firefighter. On the 1st of December 1992, the fire service had its first intake of female firefighters, and to date, they play an integral part in the fire service. Did you know two of the biggest fires that Trinidad have ever faced was the Red House Fire in 1903 and the Treasury Fire in 1931? So you want to begin a career in the fire service? Here's some hints and pointers to guide you in this important decision you are about to make. The work carried out by the fire service can be categorized in the following areas: preserve life, to prevent the destruction of property by fire or other natural disasters, and to render humanitarian services. The entry requirement for the fire service is very simple. You must be between the ages of 18 and 35 years of age. Be of good character as evidenced by a police character of certificate. Passes include 3 CXC subjects. In general proficiency passes grade 1, 2, and 3, or the possession of a GCE ordinary level passes in English language and 2 other subjects, A, B, or C. You must be of good physique, that's a must, and at least 166.5 centimeters for males, and in the case of females, 160 centimeters. Selection for training carry out the following process. First, there's a preliminary screening, followed by an entrance examination, an aptitude test, an interview process, and last but not least, a medical examination. Recruitment and induction training is undertaken by the fire service and lasts for approximately 4 months. Recruits are trained in the following areas: fire science, foot drills, hydraulics and pump operation, ladder drills, first aid, electricity, just to name a few. Hope to see you soon to provide an effective and efficient fire safety and emergency service for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's go.
Okay, pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So what we attempted to do was to show two videos, one which talks about our induction training and the other one which speaks about or shows up what is a day in the life of a fire officer like. However, one of the videos doesn't have audio properly, so we're just going to proceed into a question and answer segment where you can ask questions and I would share more information based on the questions that are asked. My name is I'm an acting fire sub officer, and my name is Jude Rogers, and I've been attached to Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service for the past 18 years. Let me just say something to all of the students. First and foremost, I chose to be a fire officer. There were many other careers that I could have chosen, but I wanted to be able to give back to my nation and give back to my community in the form of service. I looked at all of the other services that were out there, the police service, the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, the Air Guard, all of these services that were there. And I decided the best way that I could help persons was through the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. I felt as though the things that the fire service represent and what their mission and goal, which is mainly the preservation of life and then property and humanitarian service, was the best way in which I could serve my nation. And I must say that I am proud to be a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. Now, one important thing I need to let you know, if you are looking for a job where you don't get downright dirty and where you don't have to get your hands into a lot of physical activity and physical stuff, then the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service is not for you. But once you are willing and you are able to be physical, to be fit, and to be ready and willing to go the distance to save persons' lives, then the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service is the best place that you can serve your nation. So with that being said, and with all that was said by the previous instructor in the video, I would like to open up the floor for students or teachers alike to ask questions that can allow me to expound a little bit more about some of the areas that you would be interested in the fire service.
I have a question.
Let's go ahead.
Can you share with us the different areas within the fire service that one can get involved in? I know you'll have like the ambulance, search and rescue and so forth. Can you just share the different areas, please?
Definitely. And I'm glad that you asked that question. Now, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, first and foremost, everyone in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service has a core responsibility of being able to fight fires. But as you know, the emergencies that can occur across the board, which is public safety issues, do not only resound around fighting fires. So therefore, in the fire service, we have persons who would work in our IT department. We have persons in our public relations department. We have persons in the physical operation, that would be ambulance section. So we have paramedics, or what you call an EMTB, which is emergency medical technician. They have to study a little more to be able to do more than just the first aid. We have persons who would also be attached to our engineering department. So we have persons in our engineering department who would maintain the vehicles that you see operating. Also, we have persons in our fire prevention department, which is the department that I belong to. We do community outreach programs. We do specialist investigation programs where we have to do a little bit of forensic science to understand the anatomy of a fire and also to be able to come up with a cause. So there is an investigative arm as well. So when you look at it across the board, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service has many different specialist areas which are not apparent just by looking at what you may see from a day-to-day basis. Any further questions?
Yes, I have a question. Good afternoon. Okay, so you outline a number of requirements to becoming a fire officer. I want to know something. The possibility exists that I can pass everything, but I fail in medical. What happens to a candidate in that position?
All right, because the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, as you know, is a very physically based organization where a person has to be physically fit. There is no fire officer who enters the fire service who is going to have some form of disability or any sort of restrictions to their physical ability. And the reason for that is we are placed in very, what I would call strenuous circumstances. Sometimes we have to go into places where breathing is restricted, where confined spaces may occur. If somebody is trapped in a well, somebody is trapped in a building, somebody is in a position where they're trapped in a vehicle, you have to lift very heavy equipment. Our jaws of life, which we use to cut persons out of vehicles, one unit, one particular part of that unit could weigh well above 30 pounds. So you understand that it is a highly physical type occupation where you must maintain your physical fitness. All right, so you see fire officers, we actually have assigned to each headquarters, we have a gym. Persons are supposed to keep themselves fit and to maintain a physical ability that they can actually go and do physical activity. Let's say if we have to rescue somebody that is down a precipice or a cliff, you literally have to use rope and you have to use your physical strength to be able to rappel down the side of a cliff and then come back up with that person. Of course, assisted with ropes and all of these hydraulic systems that we have as well. But you get the impression and you get the understanding that being physically fit is a very, very integral part of the job. throughout the life and career of a fire officer.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can you repeat the required number of CSEC subjects that are needed to become a fire officer, please?
Right, so there is a minimum of 3 subjects, but 3 subjects from the CSEC, mainly English must be one of them. And the reason for that, much of what we do in the fire service requires report writing. Now, even though they didn't put mathematics as a stipulated requirement, I can tell you, based on what is happening now, I am seeing persons with degrees applying to become fire officers. I'm seeing persons with computer science. I'm seeing persons with physics. I'm seeing persons across the board. There is a bit of science that is involved, especially if you want to get into the forensic side of fire investigations and so forth. So first to begin, English, because of the communication and the writing element of it, where we must do report writing. So that is one of the key, and any 2 other CSEC subjects. And those grades can be 1 to 3.
Okay, I have a question. A student wants to know, what is the average number of months or years you have to spend in firefighting school?
All right, so that's simple. You don't have to spend years. It's right now our training program has been brought down to 4 months. When I trained many years ago, it was 6 months. And now it's a 4-month program where they teach you as much as you can, and the rest is learned under sympathetic supervision over a 2-year period on the job. As you are a trainee firefighter, you get out of training, you spend another 2 years being taught the job, because as you would imagine, there are some scenarios which we cannot teach you in the training school. We can only prepare you for such. All right, and no two days are the same in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. Today you can go to work, and you are in station. You may go out on a bushfire. You may go out on a house fire. Another day you will have an accident. Another day you could be called upon to go out to a bomb scare. Then there are earthquake scenarios which we may respond to as well, and even some civil unrest where persons are protesting for some reason, and if they are burning stuff, or even setting probably some sort of the device that can explode, the fire service is the persons that are responsible for going in and making that scene safe.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Fire Officer Rogers, for those female students might be interested in becoming a fire officer. Can you speak to that kind of student who may be wondering, is this only a male-dominated field? Is there any positions, or are there positions for females in the fire service?
Definitely. I would say that since 1992, when we first admitted females into the fire service, and I think it was a rightful addition, because as you would know, there are some scenarios that we go into that are very sensitive, where we would need to have female fire officers who would assist with the response as well. Now, firefighter is the terminology. So that means male and female officers who may become fire officers or become firefighters. So therefore, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service has been enhanced by the presence of female firefighters. Now, I know of a number of female firefighters that are just as physical as the men and do not want to take on any sort of clerical or administrative jobs within the fire service, even though they are such positions. They would like to go out on the trucks as well. They would like to respond to fires, to the land search and rescue. They are just as physical, and I would even bet my life on them that they are going to be able to protect your lives as well. So no longer is it seen as just a role for a male person, but female personnel who are so inclined are obliged to go through the training, and they too can aspire to achieve any of the positions within the fire service. So I wouldn't like to single out and say that fire officers who are female would sit behind a desk, but there are a number of positions where female persons are best suited in those positions, especially when we're dealing with female members of the public, especially in ambulance scenarios. People would tend to want to have that sort of privacy. As you would know, if it is that we have to deliver babies, and I am telling you that we face situations where we go to pick up a pregnant person, and we would have to literally deal with the delivery on our way to the hospital. It happens. So there's no situation that that cannot occur.
Okay,
Do
thank
you
you,
have-
Dr. Rogers.
You're welcome.
I have two questions. Do you have to have a valid driver's permit when applying to the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service? And the second question is, can you tell us about the fire service band?
Sure. All right. So it is an asset to have a valid driver's permit because it means that you have an additional skill. And we can now begin to train you to become a defensive driver who can drive for emergency scenarios. All right. So I want to answer that first part of the question. If you do not have one, that does not mean you cannot be eligible to enter the fire service, but it becomes an asset when you have one. Fair enough? All right.
Are there opportunities for upward mobility?
There are opportunities for upward mobility within the fire service. There's a rank schedule which goes all the way up from a firefighter to officers in the various ranks as high as the chief fire officer. So you can aspire to move through the ranks. And of course, that will bring you a greater span of control and bring about greater responsibility. So you can start off as being responsible for your truck and the area that you work in, and you can go as high as being responsible for an entire division like Tobago, Southern Division, Northern or Central Division. Each of them having multiple stations and personnel that you are responsible for. Oh, I missed one of the questions. And that is whether or not the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service Band. We are always encouraging persons who are musically inclined to apply to the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service as well, because the band is a specialist. And if you know on Independence Day and you see the band perform, you'll understand why the fire service band is so well loved when they go out and perform.
Okay, I have a question as a follow-up to the one with upward mobility. So you get that via what? Seniority, or you have to do various examinations?
Right, so there are examinations that you must submit to us. And when you pass those examinations, you become qualified.
Officer Rogers, I am not hearing you. No, we are not hearing you.
So you can probably try to take off the headset, perhaps it's the headset, and you can probably speak.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am.
All right, okay, so it runs better. All right, so yes, within that upward mobility, again, you must pass your exams. I can tell you this, that seniority is one of the factors, but it's not the only factor. You can actually be promoted based on merit. So there's a performance appraisal system, and once your performance appraisal are of a certain level, you can, it adds up to the points towards the merit to the next rank as well. But these are also based on vacancies. So as persons retire, or if we expand the service by adding more stations, because we do build new fire stations. For instance, we've added the Mayaro fire station, because the closest station to Guayagari and Mayaro within the past would have been the Rio Claro station. Now we have a brand new station at Mayaro. It means that we now must expand and add new roles and functions to the fire service. Fair enough?
Yes, one more question. So I now join the fire service. How many years do I have to spend as a fire officer before I start looking at these various levels of promotion?
All right, so that would be a minimum of 7 years.
Okay.
A minimum of 7 years before you can be eligible to become move to the next rank. But you imagine you do spend 2 years in probationary period, and then another 5 years working within various departments, mainly the operation. Every firefighter must become proficient in firefighting and rescue before they can even be considered for officership.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Question: in terms of students who may be considering or may be concerned about if it's a dangerous profession, can you speak to that concern that students may have?
Well, let me be very serious about this, and let me be very clear. We have had in the past, back in the 80s, where fire officers responded to a bushfire at Camp Omegan, and that bushfire was very close to an explosive bunker, and that particular bunker would have exploded, and fire officers would have lost their lives. And the fact about it, they were not aware. So when we go on calls, we do something which is called scene safety. And the first thing we do is try to ensure that the scene is safe enough for us to be able to operate within reason, because you cannot eliminate all of the hazards, but you can try to mitigate against it. And so, yes, there is the possibility on a bushfire, on a simple house fire call, that an explosion can occur, or a person can perish while fighting a fire within a home, or any of the functions which you carry out. Mainly also, you know, we respond to full-scale emergencies at the airport. If an airplane, and I just saw that you all had a lecture from pilots who would operate out of Piaco International Airport. Without the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, the Trinidad and Tobago International Airport function. They must get a rating from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. They must have that first, a fire station which is fully functional to handle all international flights before they can have an airport that is functional. So you understand the dangers that are involved. When you're talking about an airplane coming to land with fuel, and that's a large amount of fuel, aviation fuel, we have to oversee all of that and ensure that the airport is safe for their operations to take place as well.
Thank you, Fire Officer Rogers.
Can I add one more occupation within the fire service, which is also very important?
Sure.
Hello?
Yes, you can.
Right. So what I want to say is that the fire service has a very proactive role when it comes to buildings in Trinidad and Tobago. All building plans for occupancies such as the movie theaters, such as malls, such as high-rise buildings, have to submit their plans to the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service for us to grant approval. So that is a rigorous process where we go through your plans, your designs, to ensure that there is a proper means of escape for persons who are living or working in those buildings. When those plans are approved, we then have a role now to inspect and ensure that the fire prevention measures, such as fire extinguishers, fire alarm systems, and even as important as sprinkler systems, are in place in your building and fully functional to ensure that the occupants can evacuate that building in the event of an emergency. So whether it's the Twin Towers in Port of Spain, or it's an HDC property, or to the movies, if you go to the movies or to the mall, look around and see if you see fire equipment installed in those buildings. And then you realize the proactive role that the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service plays in our daily lives.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
So what's the age of retirement? Is it the normal 60 years? Because I know with the Trinidad Defense Force, it's a little earlier. So can you just give some information on that if it's the same? Thanks.
Very good question. We have two levels of personnel within the fire service. We have, as you know, the firefighter rank, and all persons who are within that rank can go up a maximum up to the age of 55 years. All right, they can retire anywhere between age 50 and 55. If, however, you've achieved the rank of first division, so that's our second division firefighters are in the second division. first division is any person wearing the khaki uniform or above, like an inspector or so forth. They can go up to the age of 60 because their role and function is a managerial and a supervisory role. Therefore, they do not have to actually perform the role of firefighting, but to supervise and to administrate the business of the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. So that would be legislation, that would be in enacting laws and ensuring that they are fully functional and managing the business of fire service. Because that is a non-physical role, they can go up to the age of 60. So the chief fire officer, he can go up to the age of 60. If when you reach the age you haven't made it to the first division, you have to mandatorily retire at age 55.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm wondering though, how come nobody has asked me what is the salary of a fire officer when you start off? I thought that may be one of the first questions that students would have been interested in. So would you like me to tell you about that, students?
Yes, please.
All right, so you can grow increment that is attracted, and there are allowances like housing allowance, meal allowances, and even allowances for your proficiency. So if you are a driver and you drive extra heavy and extra heavy, like our turntable ladders that can go 4 stories high, those very large trucks, you will be paid an extra proficiency for that. So that's quite interesting. So the salary can range and it goes upward, and you are also paid based on the amount of years that you are in the service as well. So there's room for your salary to grow exponentially over the years. Any other question in relation to remuneration or some of the allowances that you can get at the fire service?
Okay, so let me ask you. So once you become a fire officer, you'll start getting various allowances.
That is correct. When you're in training, you have the basic salary and you'll get the meal allowance and so forth. Once you begin your work within the fire service, then you will be eligible for other types of allowances as you begin to carry out the various functions and various roles. You are also paid for certain types of qualifications that you have as well. So if you decide to go and do a degree in a field that enhances the fire service, such as health and safety, right? If you go and do a degree in public relations and certain aspects which enhances the service, you will be paid a proficiency for that as well.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So if I may make an interjection as well, the fire service also has to work along with a number of other agencies. So for instance, there are some roles that the police service cannot perform. The fire service supports together with them. So for instance, if it is that we have a road traffic accident, the police would come to that road traffic accident. They would cordon off the roadway and allow for a movement of vehicles, control movement. But at that point in time, the fire service now has to take over and they have to make that scene safe and also make the persons who are maybe involved in the accident, get them extricated from the vehicle safely without damaging their spine, without causing more injury to that individual. So this is our warning to some persons as well. Sometimes when you see somebody gets into an accident along the highway, we are very quick to get involved and we may be causing more harm to that person if we try to move that person without making sure that that person's spine is protected. You will never see the fire service go into a scene and just pick a person up and just move them. The only time we would ever do something like that is if there is a sign of a possible explosion. Then at that point in time, preservation of life is priority. We will try to move that person as quickly as possible. But when we come to a scene, we make the scene safe. We would go remove the battery pole, make sure there's no spark potential for an explosion, create a barrier by the accident. And this has happened before. I must let you know. When we get to a scene, we'll put down our cones for 100 to 200 meters away showing persons that we are working in that zone and it's a safe zone. But we will also, as a final precaution, park the fire truck to block off the oncoming traffic, so that if somebody were to make the mistake or they're unconcerned and they were to come through our barricades, they would have to hit the fire truck first before they can hit our officers who are working to extricate persons behind that scene. And let me tell you, this has happened before, where persons are unaware, persons are actually sleeping at night, sleepy and driving, or drunk and driving, and have hit the fire trucks while we are at our job trying to protect members of the public. So it's a very risky proposition. Sometimes we have to expect the unexpected, and we have to keep our vigilance at all times. And so the police helps us with that role and function as well.
Okay, I want to ask a question. Is there any provision for if an unfortunate accident happens, so like loss of life or limb for a fire officer?
Yes, there is some sort of, if you lose your life on duty, unfortunately, the only compensation that there would be a special compensation towards your offspring or your next of kins or whoever is named as your survivors. All right. That figure that I think it's an additional $1 million TT. All right, that is given to an officer and that's across the board for all service personnel, all members of the Ministry of National Security, police, fire, army, air guard, and all of them. They will get that particular allowance. All right, it's a basic allowance that you can get, I guess, for die or if you die in the line of duty. And these are realities for persons who are soldiers. These are realities for police officers. This is an everyday reality for fire officers. It may not happen often in Trinidad and Tobago, but it can happen. So you take that risk every time you leave home and you leave your family. You have the risk that you can lose your life.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A student would like to know what is the basic salary. I don't know.
Oh, the basic salary, like I said, is average of about $8,000 starting point. Okay, 8,000 TT. You don't want to know what it was when I started. That was a long time ago. It was way less than that. So I suspect with inflation, it will increase over time. And that is something that is done through negotiation.
I know you said there's a minimum of 3 subjects for entry into the fire services. Yes. And English language is very important. That's mandatory. However, yes. I want to know if having physical education would be an asset, because I know it's a physical job and, so would that be an asset for students?
It would be, because a part of what we also do, we train persons in physical training as physical training instructors, because as you know, we have to train trainees in becoming firefighters. So we also have our own physical training area and arm. And so a person like that would fit very well into our structure and into our training school. They would find a very good job within our training school as a training instructor. All right. So that they may end up being someone who would first have been trained and then they would then become a trainer afterwards in the service.
Officer Rogers, I know you indicated that there would be a training period of 4 months, but in terms, yes. Is there anything like a means test? And if there is, what kind of preparation is involved? If there's an exam that the fire officer may have to take, yes. On entry?
Yes, definitely. So the exam for entry consists of a basic English exam, a written exam, where you would have to write in terms of some topic of interest. Mainly, sometimes we ask about safety questions, or we'd ask questions about health and safety along that particular line, as well as we may ask a general purpose question about the Caribbean and about life within the Caribbean, because you must understand your people. So persons who would have done Caribbean studies and so forth will normally do very well in those exams. Also, the persons who would do a little bit of geography and so forth, they will do well as well. Mathematics is part of it. So if you think that because we didn't ask some maths that it's not part of it, mathematics is part of it. But we tend to keep that mathematics to a level where I think a Form 3 student, Form 3, Form 5, you would pass that, you would ace that exam. So it's English, a little bit of arithmetic, and a little bit of general knowledge.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, so I believe we've asked quite a bit
We
of
have one
questions.
more question. Sorry.
Excellent.
We have
That's
one
all
more
right.
question from a student. So the student wants to know if it's true that a lot of firefighters die on the line of duty from heart attacks and cancer.
All right, so what you're speaking about is whether we do medical surveillance on our fire officers, and the answer to that is yes, we do. Your initial, that's why your medical test is done at the very beginning, so we know what your medical condition is prior to that. However, for a fire officer to be affected by cancer and also to die on the job, like I said, since 1983, we've had accidents along the way where ambulances have gotten into accident. You could be going to a call. So the frequency of that, though, over that period of time is still limited to a small number, under 100 fire officers. So if you look at that in terms of the length of service, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service has been in existence as a single unit, separate from the police service for 70 years, all right? Since 1951, we've separated from the police service. If you look at the amount of our officers that have died on the line of duty as a result, the answer to that will be it's still a very small number, but the potential is there. In terms of the health of an officer after and during his service, we utilize and we've taken steps to mitigate against the exposure to smoke and hazardous chemicals by officers, as you see, wearing a breathing apparatus on their backs, and they have the full face mask. As you see, I'm fully shaven so that I can wear that mask and create a proper seal so that I can keep the toxic gases out, and I can breathe through my mask the proper oxygen which is in my tank. So the fire officer is supposed to be wearing proper PPE, protective gear, eliminating the possibility of having lung and also cancer-based illnesses. Is that a fair answer to your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. So, Officer Rogers, we have come to the end of this session. Time is running out on us, sorry. We want to thank you in a special way for imparting such valuable information to our students. The life of a fire officer is quite interesting, and students, you know, you have to be physically fit, right? And I also like the fact that, you know, some of them look at how many subjects they have to get and whether or not they need CAPE and all of that. So it's quite attainable for our students, right? So
Yes,
we want to thank you again. And I hope that our students will apply to the Fire Services Department, the division, sorry, for a career there, and that they will find, you know, they will find it meaningful and they'll be able to give back to society, right? So thanks again and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. On behalf of the Chief Fire Officer and the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, it has been an honor to speak with you all. Thank you.
Thanks again. Okay, we have Miss Andrews from the Youth Training and Employment Partnership Program, YTEP. So let's welcome Miss Andrews at this time. Miss Andrews, the floor is yours. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. McIntosh, and thank you very much for having us once again. We want to say a hearty good afternoon to all the Form 5s from the Victoria Education District that is joining us at the moment. I am Johanna Andrews from the Corporate Communications Department. To my right is Mr. Kendall Norrie, our Center Manager for Valencia, and to his right, Ms. Veron Sam, also from the Communications Department. So we are very happy to be here with you this afternoon. It certainly is a pleasure. Today, we want you to listen well as you're about to gain an experience that will add value to your future plans. So, who is YTEP? Basically, YTEP Limited is an agency of the Ministry of Education and an agent of TVET, Technical Vocational Education and Training. And YTEP Limited is also your agent of change. It is now that you must start, as you are in Form 5, start your plans for a road ahead. And this is where YTEP Limited comes in you understanding, especially as you look at our videos, you will understand the importance of having a skill. Our upcoming videos, you will recognize the importance to develop not just your skill set, but YTEP Limited offers a holistic style of education and training. How students complete their skill training at YTEP is critical. Critical because we ensure that you, the student, earn and raise your potential for employability. We are about to have 4 videos which will be shown one after the other. I want to encourage you to listen carefully as these videos do bring a lot of information that you will need. When we are through with the videos, we go directly into a question and answer segment. So right now, our IT technician will begin with our first video with Ms. Josanne Moses, our Youth Director at YTEP Limited.
Hi, Miss Andrews. There's no audio for the video. Can you share your sound on your end, please?
Okay, we are running it. Are you hearing it now, Sophia?
We are seeing but not hearing. You have to share your sound from your computer.
We are up to max at the moment, Sophia. Video on mute. Towards technological advances, we have now shifted our program offering to the blended stream of learning. So apart from
the more we give importance to skill development, the more likely it would lead to an empowered youth. The youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow, and their stories have the power to transform young lives. Youth Training Director at YTEP Limited, Josanne Moses, shared her perspective on vocational skills training.
Youth Training Department targets persons between the ages of 15 to 35 years. Our ideal or our goal is really to offer technical and vocational education to these persons. Now, while technical and vocational education is considered to be for persons that are less academically inclined, the truth is technical and vocational education is really the birthplace of innovation. Here it is really the marriage of science, math, and skill. And it is for this reason Youth Training Department is really geared towards providing trainees with an opportunity to be exposed to these disciplines that would allow for employability skills or entrepreneurial opportunities.
What makes the Youth Training Department stand out amongst others?
So while the Youth Training Department really targets persons between 15 and 35, what we have accepted is that the target audience remains the same, but the generation actually changes. So presently, we are catering to the needs of the millennials and the Gen Zs. Those persons have an acumen to technology. Accepting that those persons are geared towards technological advances, we have now shifted our program offering to the blended stream of learning. So apart from coming to the center to acquire these skills, you actually have an opportunity to complete your program, part of it utilizing blended technologies, online, the internet, Moodle platform, etc. We have also identified that literacy, or most of our trainees would require some literacy support. So upon the registration, they are given the opportunity to be assessed. Once we have identified those trainees with a need, they are now encouraged with the support of Powell Publishing to complete a literacy program in the comforts of their homes. They are not required to go into any classroom. They simply interact with a platform and they are learning at their own speed.
How has the Youth Training Department been successful?
So as I mentioned before, our program is really geared towards providing persons with employability skills or entrepreneurial opportunities. Now I'd like to place emphasis on our certified welding and fabrication program that falls within the Youth Training Department. Presently, persons who are enrolled in that particular program are afforded the opportunity to complete their training at the companies. We have 3 companies where we sign memorandums of understanding with. The first is Carida, the second is Hydrotech, and the third is Metalex. Now, upon completion of their training, welding is a very unique skill. You often find that most of our trainees get employment with the said companies or their partners. Apart from that particular program, we have found that persons who are enrolled in the child care or the patient care stream of training would have also been given an opportunity to pursue rewarding careers. Now, part of their program really has an internship, and that internship allows them to actually go to our hospitals or local nursing homes in order to have the opportunity to perform the acquired skill on live patients. So to answer your question, yes, our programs are designed to enable trainees to get immediate employment or entrepreneurial opportunities.
YTEP's Youth Training Department and what it means.
I started off by saying that TVET is really the birthplace of innovation, and I want to emphasize how critical it is in our landscape. COVID-19 would have really demonstrated the value that persons with technical and vocational skills is needed in the operation of our society. If we had to recall the persons who were given an opportunity to work during the stay-at-home order, it was only the plumbers, the electricians, the carpenters, those persons who are responsible for food production, etc. They were given exemptions to be able to work while everybody else had to stay home. I am often fascinated by my nail tech. You know, I have accepted that she probably makes a lot more money than I do, where I will go to visit her for 2 or 3 weeks per month. I would leave paying her minimum of $400 for 2 hours. And when I make a comparison, I, who am required to have so many other skills in order to perform my duties, I am being paid approximately the same $400 per day. So my advice to young persons is, while technical and vocational education is perceived as second-class education, the reality is they are leading the way. And if you really want to make the best decision for yourself, consider a life or a career in skills development.
We are creating we are looking at what is to come. So we want you to look at yourself as a business person. Get involved in our micro entrepreneurship program, which teaches us how to set up, maintain, and bring forward a small, micro, mini business and be successful. We encourage you, young people, you got to do it. The world of work is dependent on you to create, to stimulate our economy. So we look forward to you at Valencia, at Diego Martin, at Maloney, at Tobago TTC. We look for you at Maruga, Signature Creations, and Woodford Lodge. And let me just say, Woodford Lodge is the creme de la creme. That is where we have our IOC and our ICA. IOC is our Institute of Cosmetology, and our ICA is our Institute of Culinary Arts. Specialized programs just for you.
Benjamin Johnson. I'm 20 years of age. I'm from Gonzales, Pocos, Spain. I came to YTEP because my father instilled in me that I must further myself with what I'm good at. I started electrical at Southeast Port of Spain. I did it for about a year or so. I wasn't certified, but I was good at it. I changed a lot of plugs and sockets, did not get shocked as yet. I do not mind furthering myself with YTEP. The building electrician assistant class is a good program. It does not have many fellas my age. It would be nice and lovely to see plenty youths my age out here trying to better themselves.
YTEP Limited has always been concerned about you, our youths. You are by far our most important human capital in Trinidad and Tobago. We have had the wonderful opportunity of engaging you, of training you. So for you out there looking for an opportunity to really see where your life can be in the future, we want to invite you to YTEP. The holistic training that you get at YTEP can actually open doors and windows for you. Come and check us out. See who we are. You hear about us, but come and see who YTEP Limited really is. Make this your best choice.
Ms. Andrews, can you unmute your mic, please?
Doing that right now.
Okay, great.
Okay, so you're there with us now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So we want to say thank you for to the students for actually listening and watching our videos and being with us. What we want to do, Ms. McIntosh, is that based on the timing that we are looking also, we want to go straight into the question and answers from the students. We have Mr. Nore and Ms. Sam here, and they are prepared to answer the questions. Ms. McIntosh?
Ms. Andrews, yes. So thank you so much for sharing what you have shared thus far. You can stop sharing your screen at this time. Okay, perfect. All right, so in terms of entry into YTEP, I know that you introduced and you shared some of the programs that YTEP has available via the videos, right? So I wanted to find out if a student would like to enter YTEP, how do they enroll or register? What process can they engage in so that they can be enrolled or to register for YTEP?
Hello, everybody. So the requirements to enter YTEP's program, well, first of all, you have to fall between the ages of 15 and 35 years. You must be a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, and you go online via our Facebook page or our website where we have the advertisements and a link provided. You click there, you fill out the application form online. while you're filling out the application, you will see the requirements where we're asking you to put in certain requirements such as your birth certificate PIN and so forth. On the form, you will see the list of all the courses as well as the locations and the times for these programs.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, for students that enroll in YTEP, is there an internship aspect to YTEP? Is it theory, or is there a combination of theory and practical? How is the YTEP training program engaging students? Is it theory and practice, or practical only, or theory only? Maybe you can give some insight into students.
Right. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, our programs are, especially with the new normal, we have our blended programs. So you're going to have your theories being done online, and then you come into the labs to do your practical sessions. All right. So it is both practical and theory. And some of our programs also have that type of internship. As the director would have mentioned before, courses such like patient care and child care, where you may go into a hospital or one of the nursing homes to actually use your skills in those those environments, as well as our certified welding programs that they actually train in the industry, places like Metalex and Hydrotech, as well as carried up. So it's live training and not just simulations.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And now, before traditionally, sometimes there is a myth or misconception that vocational training is not of the same level to academic training. You know, can you speak to that myth and perhaps clarify any false belief that students may have had with, in the past concerning the value that vocational training can play in having a successful life?
Yes, well, you see, and you're correct, it is a myth. Before, persons used to say that you are not bright enough, so you need to go and learn a skill. If you're ever enrolled in a vocational skill, you realize that you have to have some level of intelligence. All right. If you check around now and you check the salaries of skilled workers right now who decided to take up their own businesses, the cost to have a plumber at to hire a plumber, an electrician, a mechanic. Sometimes they spend 2 hours on your vehicle and you have to pay thousands of dollars. We see people eating food every day. We look at the cost of food. Caterers are making a lot of money out there. Hairdressers, nail techs, $400 to do your nails. So, but you have to have the right mindset. Make up in your mind that you want to take this skill and take it into the future. Be creative with it. Don't just take the basic and then you're happy with the basic, but try to enhance the skill. Bring your own flavor, your own style to it, and you're going to make serious money out here. You know, sometimes we hear masons working for $600, $500 a day. And when you check that, sometimes you'd realize is 5 by 6 is probably $3,000, $12,000 for the month. And I mean, it's just, and that's probably one of your B-class masons, you know? So skills are important and they have a high price attached to them. It's really a myth that Duncy Head people learn skills. Persons who build the Twin Towers were not Duncy Head people. Persons who build the Hyatt were not Duncy Head people. And those are persons with actual skills. Electricians, plumbers, carpenters, masons, you name it. All skills are important and carry a high value to them.
Kendall is very, he's very correct, he's on point, and if I would like to add something here. Skills acquisition also offers a lot of flexibility with it. So not only by doing, not only by doing skills training, are you investing in national socio-economic development, but you actually are holding the keys to creating wealth. You understand? You can start your own businesses. You are engaging in poverty reduction. And you have the possession, you have the fortitude now with skills development to actually reinvent yourself. take, for example, as you would have heard in our video, this COVID-19 pandemic, it is those persons who have really taken advantage of skills acquisition who are now leveraging above their peers in this season where persons are being retrenched, persons are losing income. Those were the skills are the ones who are actually making all the money outside there now. They are the bakers, they are those persons who are starting their own businesses, ice cream, what have you. So it's not just, you see, while you're on your trajectory and trying to figure out what career path to really enter into, skills acquisition will really give you the cutting edge above the rest.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if anyone of my
Okay,
colleagues
I
have
have
any
a
questions.
question. So I know you all do internship and stuff, but upon completion, do you all assist like within job placement or even helping these students set up their own businesses?
Well, we have a micro entrepreneurship program. And what we encourage persons to do after you acquire your skill, learn the intricacies of setting up your own business. All right. So everybody wants to be employed. And I think that's part of the problem that we have. Everybody wants to work for somebody. And what you do when you have that kind of desire is that you're helping somebody else build their dream. When you can now build your own dream and you can now hire persons. But we do encourage persons to get into business. Our program is designed to show them how to do their balance sheets, their business plans, and so forth. And then we do have a employment bureau that really tries to connect trainees to jobs. It is not always as easy as we would want it to be, but as employers seek persons to fit into their establishment, we try to make the linkages as well.
And if I may add to that, Ms. McIntosh, we have had many occasions where the business entities call YTEP Limited for a pool of trainees to enter the field of work. So the YTEP trainee is well equipped after training, and the YTEP certificate is well respected because we do have persons calling from time to time asking for persons in childcare, patient care, food preparation, and these would be trainees who would have completed the program.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pleasant afternoon to all.
Afternoon.
My question is, you said that your program take students in from age 15. So when one is finished with one of your training programs, let's say, for example, the culinary arts, and they become certified with your certification, is that certification transferable? Meaning, can they now use that certificate to get into a higher level training at another institution without necessarily having to start from scratch, but they can continue the training to enhance their skills?
I'm happy that you asked the question, and to answer that, and the answer is actually yes. So we have had persons who would have done our food prep classes or culinary classes, and then use that certificate to get into a TTHTI, having that background, knowing that you were more into the practical aspect of the skill. They were able to transition themselves into the TTHTI as well. But more importantly, some of those persons that when they were finished, they were able to start their own little business. People believe that a business start with a building. It starts with a skill and a product. And we encourage trainees sometimes to look at it from that perspective as well. Sometimes persons use the skill to actually build enough finances to get into another career. You know, I see persons who have now gotten all their academics, got degrees, and now want a skill to fall back on, because the job market is saturated with persons with all these degrees and not necessarily skill sets that will help them to navigate themselves through the business world. So to answer again, yes, these certificates can take you into level 2 programs, but bear in mind that some certificates really and truly, after you do that first level, there isn't another a higher level for those programs. For instance, if you have to do something like Thai lane, there isn't a level 2 and a level 3 in Thai lane, if you understand what I mean. But courses that are aligned to certain industries, yes, it would help them to get there.
Okay, and let me follow up to that point. Age 15, a 15-year-old is generally still in secondary school. How do you work that? How does this 15-year-old who is in secondary school still access your programs? And B, if a 15-year-old says to their parent, I no longer want to continue school, formal education, is YTEP an avenue for that child?
I have experience what you're saying there. I always encourage parents to not take their children out of school, because even as you're doing skills training, your basic education is important. Your basic math, your basic English is going to come up in your skill set. You're going to need to know how to measure, so you're going to need to know how to count, how to do fractions. Those basics are arithmetic skills, you're going to still have that. What we also encourage, we try not to take school children out of school to do a skill. We encourage them to finish their schooling, and after they finish their schooling and they're looking for a career path, then we can offer you that opportunity. So we're not there to pull from the secondary schools. What we would have done previously, we would have gone into some of the secondary schools and provide skills trainings for those schools that did not have a vocational skills component within their setup. So we would have done that before. So, but it's not to take them out. If we can add to the schools, that would be great. But we wait until they're out and they're looking for an avenue, they're looking for a direction. We can provide that direction. And at 15 years old, as we said, we have different programs that would help build them up. Somebody may come in with literacy skills, literacy weaknesses, and we have a program to help you to literacy, to build you up there. Then we want you to get into our micro program. So by the time we are finished with you, you are better able to get yourself. And at age 15, and you have about 3 more years. You could stick a little while with us. We do cluster programs. So if you do food preparation, we'd encourage you to do bread, cakes, and pastry, and then probably come back and do cake making and decorating. So now you have a holistic skill that you can fit into any aspect of that particular industry. Yeah. Hello?
Sophia?
Yes, we are here, Ms. Andrews. Okay. So thank you so much for those questions. Looking here, one other thing to consider as well, as you said, and I agree with you fully, that myth that was really in the past concerning the value of vocational skills versus what you might call academics or traditional training, that really we have to encourage our children to be open to whatever thing we have available to make sure that they're trained in that area. Now, what kind of personality or characteristics? Now, many times when we work with our children, we try to help them to understand themselves. For example, what is their strength, or what are their strengths, what are their skills, their interests, and we try to encourage them to match those with a career path. So for you in the vocational area, and you haven't worked with students coming into vocational training, what kind of skills do you think, or what kind of strengths or personality traits do you think are some of the examples that students could look to see if those things are present in their lives, to know if there's a good match or good fit between vocational training and themselves as a person with regard to developing their career?
Yeah. Well, ideally, what we would have done, we would have set up a career enhancement component of the program. And this component helps to shape them to reap the results that you're talking about. So some persons, they really come in blank. And then we help them now with career enhancement to understand who they are, understand where their desires are, what they want to do. There's an exercise they have where they do, I forgot it, I can't remember it right now, but they set up where they want to go, the things they want to achieve, and then they build a plan towards getting that. So sometimes persons would come in and they want to do, well, I like food. And I always ask them, but where your passion is. And they will tell you, well, my mother would send me to do this, but I like baking, I like cooking. And I would try to guide them in that direction. I always believe that success breeds success. So once you get them in an area where they're passionate and they have a desire for, then you find that you're going to start to get growth, and then success breeds more success. They want more success, So I strongly believe that we are fully equipped to help you to get to that level where you can figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, and why you want to do what you want to do. Some persons come in just to acquire a skill, and then they find themselves setting up their own business, changing the whole direction, wanting to be an employee and now becoming an employer. We have had caterers before who were YTEP trainees, who would have come by us and learned certain skills, done their micro entrepreneurship, and now they have established business out there and employing people and being part of building our economy.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sophia, how much time do we have again?
You are just for a few minutes, so what you can probably do is to make your final submissions to students, your final share, what you'd like to leave them with as you probably wrap up your session and wrap up the virtual career fair.
Okay, so just to wrap up, so we have our full-time centers that are in operation right now, and persons maybe, I'm not too sure where they're located, but we have centers in Diego Martin, Maloney, Valencia, Fifth Company, which is in Moruga, Signature Creation, which is in San Fernando, Tobago Technology Center, and Signal Hill. Courses at Diego Martin currently is beauty therapy, building electrician assistant, events decorating, graphic design, hairdressing, plumbing, and small business management. Maloney has beauty therapy, building electrician assistant, events decorating, graphic design, hairdressing, plumbing, small business. Valencia has bread, cakes, and pastry, beauty therapy, building electrician assistant, food preparation, graphic design, hairdressing, small business management. And let me just add patient care, childcare, and skills for the automated office. Fifth Company has events decorating, food preparation, building electrician assistant, graphic design, and a special program design called Men Can Cook, which is a food preparation program that's designed to target the males in our society. Signature Creation does beauty therapy, hairdressing, and small business. Tobago TTC has hairdressing, beauty therapy, patient care assistant, and small business management as well. Signal Hill has building electrician assistant, food preparation, tailoring, skills for your limited office, and micro entrepreneurship as well, which is our small business program. All right, yeah, mention it. So we all around Trinidad and Tobago.
So at this time, Ms. McIntosh?
Yes, Ms. Andrews.
Right, so we know that we've given a lot of information this afternoon. Definitely, if any student wants to contact us, they can contact us at www.ytep.edu.tt. They can also look for YTEP on their Facebook, www.facebook.com/ facebook.com/YTEP. We can also be reached at 672-5411, 672-5411. We want to urge the students, any questions that they may have had this afternoon that were not answered, feel free to send us a message, give us a call, and we will get back to you. So on behalf of YTEP Limited, Ms. McIntosh, and the entire team from the Ministry of Education, the teachers and the students who took the time to share with us, we want to say thank you very much. And it was a pleasure being here with you this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Ms. Andrews, and the representatives of YTEP. We appreciated your presentation entirely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Students, we have come to the end of our virtual career fair. There have been 4 days where we examined agencies and they presented to each and every one of us the programs that were available that you can take advantage of. We trust that the information that would have been provided would have aided you in your decision making as you go forward into the world of work and into further training. So we trust that the information will be remembered by you and that you together with your parents and guardians will make effective decisions with regard to how you move forward after your secondary schooling and your education. Thank you so much for being a part of our virtual career fair. Thank you to our service providers. Thank you to the colleagues and the staff members of the Student Support Services Division of the Ministry of Education. And it has really been an amazing experience as we saw that even as we battled the pandemic, we sought to still bring to you the information that you would need to make an effective decision. So thank you again for being with us. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Bye.